Now, this is a GT 1030, specifically the MSI Aero ITX version of the card. It comes with 2GB of GDDR5 video memory, and it was built on a 40nm process with a Pascal architecture. Now, this architecture was built on GPUs like the GTX 1080 and the 10 series GPUs around that. Now, the GPU was released for £80, that's dollars or whatever, currency you have, and the pricing is obviously obsolete thanks to things like chip shortages and scalpers because of cryptocurrency and other problems that we have in the world. Now, using a GPU with 2GB of video memory is like giving Ryzen single channel RAM, as it can really affect performance while gaming. And before you ask, I have run, tested and benchmarked games, and here you go, here are the benchmarks. Disclaimer, I do actually own a Ryzen chip. As you can see here, it's the Ryzen 3 1200 AF, 4 threads, whatever, 4 threads. That skate was just with an Intel chip. I drew on it. As you can see, I'm unboxing an empty box because it is in my system. As you can see right here, there's no chip in it. Also, the box, as you can see, I open it. I don't know what I'm doing, but as soon as I open this, the cooler's gone as well. So yeah. I do actually have a Ryzen based system, as you can see here. I'm showing you right now. But yeah, anyway, like I said, let's get to the benchmarks. Now, those results aren't too bad. However, there were many demanding games. I don't have them, and I wouldn't remember to run them because, the PC is not powerful enough. Now, another game that didn't make it to the list is Hitman Absolution. That got around 53 FPS in the benchmark, and that you can do if you go on settings or whatever. I will also leave my specs to my PC in the description if you want to know what I used with the cards. Now, on Fortnite, I was using the performance mode as the CPU and GPU get half the load and it will improve FPS. However, it might look a bit different than normal Fortnite if you might be playing on console on high settings. But yeah, but obviously performance mode, it cuts GPU whatever in half, but it uses DX11, so I'm still counting as DX11. In that option, I got around 144 FPS. Now, the GPU has a sleek all black finish with white accents around the fan, and I really like this. And speaking of fans, this cooler has one fan, and with something like a GT 1030, it really doesn't matter as it isn't drawing a lot of heat because the card isn't that powerful with something like an EVGA GTX 1060, which has the exact same one fan design, and it will matter a lot more since obviously it's got more than double the VRAM, and obviously it's going to be put under load more as people will be playing more demanding games. So that really does need another a second fan or whatever. But yeah, the GPU also has no 6-pin or 8-pin connectors, as it gets all its power from the PCIe slot. It also has not a giant but a very tall fin stack, which would obviously be great for cooling while you're playing your games. Now, as I previously stated, the GT 1030 has released for £80. The card released for £80, $80, whatever. But do I think that was worth it? No. Now, I feel like the GT series of cards have no purpose. At the time when this was released, you could have bought a second-hand older GPU, such as a GTX 970 for the same price, an RX 570. And if you bought that, you could have been playing newer titles at fair enough lower settings, but still, and you could have used other features of the card. You could also buy something like an RX 570, which would be 4GB, and it would literally be lower than the MSRP of the GT 1030, and you would get double the amount of VRAM, which is more performance. And if you're about to get this, if you're going to get this card as a video output, I wouldn't recommend it. And the GT 1030 only has 2 outputs, whereas the new GT 710 Asus model, which is a new revamp because of the scalpers and everything, has 4 HDMI slots. You can have 4 display outputs instead of just 2. And by the way, on some cards they have on specific models, like certain manufacturers include like 3, some include 4. This literally only has 2 on every single manufactured version of the card. It only has 2 display outputs. Now I also again wouldn't recommend you buy it because the new GT710 has the same amount of VRAM as the GT1030. So if you want to do some really light gaming, because even though it has the same amount of VRAM, it's not as powerful. Obviously, the phones will like you will get less phones than you will with a more expensive card, which is obvious. But if you're going to get a GPU like this and you're that desperate, I would recommend you use either something like a really cheap graphics card that you could get of eBay, like a £6 graphics card. Just use it as a display output and save up more for something like an something like an RTX 3050, which costs about £250, which is a lot more. But if you consider saving up £200 for the RX 570, you might as well save up more to get DLSS, ray tracing, all that, just £50 more than the RX 470. Now, one of the things that annoys me the most with the GT710 is that you are actually able to enable shadow play because of the architecture and the actual shadow play like chip or whatever it was in there. However, with the GT, even though on Nvidia shadow play it says it isn't supported because only GTX like 800 supports it, you can do a trick where you get Nvidia share, put shadow play on the end of it, and it works. But the GT 1030 isn't even capable of it because it was roofed from the entire PCB. And the other thing that annoys me is that instead of having shadow play disabled, Nvidia decided it was a good idea to enable Ansel, so you can take beautiful pictures of your games, or you can't take a video and like you're doing something cool or whatever, which is I was really annoying. But I mean, at least you have something from a video, even though I would much prefer shadow play over Ansel. But yeah, now with a GPU that wouldn't have a lot of VRAM, the games that I would be playing on this GPU probably not be the newest AAA games, such as Cyberpunk, God of War that have just been released, and other games. I would rather be playing older games with higher medium settings and newer titles, not newer, but like newly released, like 2017-16 titles at medium to low settings. And in conclusion, I would not be recommending the GPU as obviously, as I stated at the start, the prices have skyrocketed, which means that instead of paying £70, you'll be paying £30 more. And if you have enough money, you'll probably save a bit more to get like something like an RX 570 or a 580, and you can get an amazing deal on that. So you can do offers, but because this is MSRP, you can't do any deals. And yeah, that is it. So I hope you enjoyed this mini short review of the GT 1030. I am going to do a review of a phone, kind of a phone which is kind of new, but obviously not like the best, like the best of the best. But yeah, I'll see you next time.